Hey guys, happy Thursday. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Double Shot of Steelers. Comes your way at 4 p.m. Eastern or thereabouts this week. Had trouble with the camera again. So we're just kind of punting and using a different camera. You might, if you're a regular here, notice there's a little bit of a different angle to the show. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't do anything different. And it doesn't make the host any shrewder. Let's see what you guys have to offer today before I get to my little pre-show rant about the Heat in general and about how the Heat might be a big subject when it comes to actual training camp. Jay Vincent says, for those of us who depend on the growing season, I'm not complaining about rain or heat. My blueberries are popping. Like blueberries. Blueberries are like one of the healthier foods too, which makes it a strange match for me. Michael Barnett says, ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start. Yeah, it is, man. Rev it all up. Yeah. Jay Mood says, I look warm. Yeah, it's we have AC on in here. We're all right. We're all right. Not about to complain about that sort of thing here. Michael Vitti drops a couple of bucks on us and says he's going to come visit here at 224 Fifth Avenue. It's funny that the Penguins are conducting their NHL draft just right here on the same block because their arena and their room and everything up at PPG is under renovation. So they're going to be doing their stuff like right here on the block. So if they draft somebody really awesome, maybe somebody really awesome can stop in here and, grab a hat or something. Useless Knowledge says, stop complaining. I live in Florida. Dude, every day that I'm not in Florida is a good day. So you're exactly correct. Alyssa Buckner points out that there is, in fact, a party on Fifth Avenue. That, of course, is the song that the Penguins play after they win a home game in tribute to Mac Miller. Mr. CJ says, did I miss anything? DK sipping. Oh yeah, some scintillating stuff right there. And then Aaron gets us going a little bit on a football thing here, although we did a lot of Pat Freiermuth yesterday. So I'm not going to go too far on this, but he says, what do the Steelers really think of Pat? Is he a leader? Pat needs to be that much more of a leader. Okay, I'll answer that one first. Pat needs to be that guy who lets everybody hear it. He is now a veteran with that group. He is someone who needs to speak up. You can't leave it all to the quarterback, even though the quarterback is very plainly going to be the leader on this team, whoever the quarterback is, I should say. I mean, if Rodgers were to go down, Mason Rudolph's going to be the leader of your team. So it's incumbent on others to kind of take over their respective roles in that regard. Let's say, for example, on the offensive line, who's the leader? That to me is a little bit more intriguing. But, is it Isaac Seumalo just because he's the older guy? No, not necessarily. What if it's Zach Frazier? What if it's Troy Fautanu after he gets a few games onto his resume? And Jay Mood says, the camera does a ton of work. I don't know what that means. Our camera isn't working at all, dude. Mass says, what has Tomlin done, in your opinion, to convince you and us, the fans, he has learned from the lack of defensive adjustments, such as in the 299 yards playoff game? Okay. The literal answer to your question is nothing, because that is not his motivation. He is not out to impress you. He's definitely not out to impress me. He maintains a singular focus as to who his audience is for this sort of thing, and he sticks by it. Now, what has he actually done that would be significant toward defensive adjustments, whatever? We don't know yet. They did not use real alignments in OTAs and minicamp. They're not going to do that until they get to Latrobe. And when they do get to Latrobe, the first thing we're going to be looking for is how many safeties are on the field, Where are they and why? Phil says, Tomlin, the standard is the standard. Do not expect much change. Well, we're not going to turn this show into that, are we? Mike says, could you see the Penguins double dipping on defense for their picks 11 and 12? That's tomorrow night. No, and I sure hope not. This is not about needs. The hockey draft is never about needs. I like to say that about football, although it can be and often is that in football, as we've seen with the Steelers going after offensive linemen and so forth. In hockey, these are 18-year-olds, and they're coming from all over the world, from different systems, different countries, different everything. All I want for the Penguins to draft is high-end skill. If it happens to be up front, great, because Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are in their late 30s. And you do need to start making sure that you can have that. But, man, don't be going by position. I'll yell that down the block from where they're drafting here. Oh, look at Chris popping in on vacation. What is this? My penance for leaving DK alone all this week. He drops $5.
Now I have to give him a raise.
The boss says she's now going to have to give you a raise of $5. Wait, that's what it is? That's his raise, is $5?
I'm going to give him a raise.
I love this. The real reason that Chris dropped that is that so that people could see that his YouTube channel is called Chris Halleck Vocals, which immediately catches these eagle eyes who say, Chris has vocals? Drop the Spotify link. Yeah, Chris can croon, man. He can let it fly. And now he's going to do that. He's going to let everybody know where he can be found on his website and everybody. Chris, I think Chris probably does it a lot in the car. He doesn't do it when I'm in the car. Because the music, like I'm driving usually, so like the stuff that I'm playing isn't stuff that anybody would really be singing along with unless you're Johnny Rotten or Jello Biafra. But, he can let it fly. We know that. Jason Williams wants to know, how's Cole Holcomb's run-stopping defense? Holcomb, man, I hate to keep saying when he's healthy every time I say his name, but what are you doing? I mean, he's coming back from something that's just you don't come back from. But if he is healthy, and if he is, let's say, I don't know, what's fair to him, 80% of what he was before the injury, then he can do anything. He's just a really, really, really good football player. And we got to remember that whenever he came over from Washington, that there was legitimate excitement about him. There was a really, really good feel. And then it took him maybe, 2 or 3 games. And then he started being himself. And then he gets hurt. But he can just do anything. That's the answer here. Denny says we're going to be looking forward to Chalk Talk, the musical. Polly wants us to have a general talent show. I actually had to pull out the electric guitar this weekend. My daughter asked me to teach her how to play. So I picked Something So Strong by Crowded House. A fairly simple song. It's kind of strummy. It's got some routine chords. I wasn't about to get her started with Rush 2112 or whatever. So she really enjoyed it. And then she took it. Like she took my guitar. She lives in New York. It's gone now. Michael says that Chris's metal band was called Chalk Talk. This is untrue. Carol wants to know if the boss sings. Does the boss sing?
Not for free.
Not for free, says the boss. Always looking to make sure that the business comes first.
But
I like this.
Concert with the staff.
Chris says. Chris says here from afar. My Twitter bio has, I was in a metal band once for a reason, LOL, but I found my true calling covering these sports teams. Say it with me. Ah!
What is the band's name?
I don't think it is the band. What is the band's name? It's not Chris Halleck Vocals. That would be kind of.
No, that's his dad account, not his before he was a parent account.
That's in case in case the kids find him someday on YouTube. They go, look at this. I believe his dad had an account on here. It was called Chris Halleck Vocals. The Chalk Talkies, says Jay Moods. Curtis Smith says he now needs to go find his Crowded House CD. You make it sound like you only have one, Curtis. That's not okay. Jason Williams wants to know what I think about Juan Thornhill. We can just kind of segue some football in here, slip it in. Here's what I think about Juan Thornhill and why the Steelers would have acquired him. He has had in the NFL a reputation as being more of a center field type safety, more of a preventive maintenance guy way in the back, which is what they had Minkah Fitzpatrick doing, much to the consternation of some. Well, okay, if you found somebody else to do that, guess what? You can actually get both Minkah and Deshaun Elliott way more involved in the actual football game. Now, Deshaun telling me a few days ago that he expects to be doing a lot more pursuing of the football, trying to swat the football out as opposed to necessarily just finishing tackles. He wants to become more aggressive. He wants to fit more with that edge rusher mentality of always going for the ball. I have mixed thoughts about that, but I do love the idea that he's going to be up there because he can do a lot up there. If you have a 3 safety set, I'm going to repeat this from earlier in the show. If the Steelers take to Chuck Noll Field with 3 safeties, all eyes are going to be on where 39 goes. Not even necessarily where he lines up at the outset, but where he ends up. And if Thornhill is the guy that he's always been, all right. I mean, that would be a heck of a plus for this defense. Greg says, along with a $10 drop here, you mentioned a while ago that you needed to, quote, close the show with a daily. I think you and Chris need to collaborate on a jingle. Oh, you want us to do the song at the end? It's me and Chris. No, we're not doing that. I'm not doing that. Brent wants to know why I'm not teaching my daughter an XTC song. XTC's way too hard. Dude, you ever tried it? I don't know if you're a guitarist. You ever try to play XTC stuff? It's really, really hard. Jordan says, Crowded House, why not their precursor, Split Ends?
He's really good. I'm listening to his channel.
She's over here listening to Chris. She's not even paying attention to the show. She's got the headphones on listening to Chris Halleck vocals. Split Ends stuff, way hard. Way hard. I mean, this was the first time she ever held a guitar. She'd played some bass before, but that's not the same. Trevor White wants to know, hey, DK, when healthy, would Holcomb start over Elandon Roberts? You know, Trevor, you know how I'm always saying to you guys, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. Well, they did, okay? They very, very, very clearly decided that Holcomb was A, healthy, and B, ready to really contribute. And then from there, they decided on the scenario that you just put forth. They decided that Holcomb would have started over Elandon, and there went Elandon. And then from there, they added Malik Harrison. Don't forget about him, by the way, in that inside linebacker mix. He will play. He will be on the field. He's not just a special teams guy, but he is a special teams guy and a really good one. So you had a couple of different things that worked against Elandon in their decision. We will see if they ended up making the right one. John wants to know, can Thornhill cover the more athletic tight ends? Your safety, you better be able to cover tight end. I mean, that's my answer. There aren't excuses for safeties not to be able to cover tight ends. Now, you're going to have some physical mismatches, but you need to be able to cover them. You need to be on them. We've seen that a lot over the years, especially when some of the mismatches have occurred, the Rob Gronkowski types. Chris is thanking the boss here. Says, you're too kind. She's still over there. She's like, she's really amused by it. Did you not know he's saying? Oh, that's so funny. I can't believe I never told you that.
He wasn't on his resume. And by the way, special skills.
On his resume, special skills at the bottom. Like, take photos, can cover all teams, do all this other stuff. And, oh, by the way, if you ever need it, I can sing. Yeah. My drink is all kind of leaking from all this heat here, sweating. Paulie says that we would be doing a remix of Renegade. Only if I get to do the Tommy Shaw scream. I can actually play Renegade. But that's from like forever ago. That's not because of the Steelers thing. It's like from when it was actually a song. Just a song.
You're not buying a new guitar.
I'm not. Hayden says, I'm excited for the season to start. And now that days of our Rodgers is over and George Pickens scammed the campers on his way out the door, it feels like the drama is winding down. Ready to watch some football. You know, you bring up a fair point. One of the things that's going to happen because Rodgers is in the fold, the camp setting in Latrobe is going to have a different feel to it. It just is. Even when Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback for a very, very, very long time there, yes, he was a star, but he was our star. You know what I mean? It's not the same. He was there every year. We got used to him being there every year. So when he would go over to sign autographs or whatever, it's like, oh, yeah, hey, Ben, what's going on, Ben? With Rodgers, it's going to have a different kind of, whoa, look at that guy. He's actually here. It's going to be like that. So I think you're going to have an element of drama, but I think it's going to be more of a positive thing than, you know, the Pickens stuff and whatever else here. You're not going to have, other than probably TJ's contract situation, you're not going to have something where you go, you know, what's the sideshow to all this? Mark Cunningham is now the latest to put Chris over here. Wow, I just checked out Chris on YouTube. He can legit sing, guys. Like, for real. Now they're going to ask Chris when he comes back to be doing that. Jacob says, well, this isn't the Dick LeBeau defense anymore. No, it's definitely not. When is the last time that the Steelers led the NFL in sacks? Was it 2019 and 2020? I don't think it was that long ago, Jacob. I could be mistaken, but I think it was just within the past couple of years. I'm on a live show here to be doing research, so if anybody else comes up with that, let me know, and I'll put it on the screen. But I don't think it's been 5 years since the Steelers have led the league in sacks. It might even have happened a couple of times since then. I mean, TJ alone was getting you a bunch, and then Alex had the 1 year with, was it 14? That's hard to beat whenever you have a couple of guys getting that much, and you also have Cam Hayward and so forth. It's Chloe asked what's favorite type of guitar. Well, my guitar is a Fender Stratocaster is the full name of it, and it was an original. I went and I paid up for it. It was a long time ago. It's in really great shape thanks to one of our subscribers at DK Pittsburgh Sports, Alan Tignanelli, came in here and he heard that I hadn't been necessarily taking the best care of it. He came in here and he really straightened it up. That's just the kind of community that we've developed here. Chris says it's 2021, the last time that they had sacked, that they led the league in sacks. You know, which
I thought it was the last time he had a concert. No,
not the last time he had a concert. Mr. CJ also has a Strat. I don't know what a PRS Santana is. What is that? Is that something to do with Carlos Santana? Or the Pirates' Dennis Santana? Captain Crunch really likes Chris's cover of Linkin Park. Yeah, that's more his speed. Yeah, Dumpster Chicken has a Telecaster. Paul Reed Smith guitar. I have no idea what that means. What amp am I using? It's just a toy, dude. I mean, I'm not in a position where I can, go crank it up somewhere. You're living in the city. You're living in pretty tight quarters. You're not just all of a sudden, Eddie Van Halen in the middle of the night.
I would think that too.
Garth Woodson has 6 Strats. What's with you, dude? You have them like on the wall, like mounted in a formation or something? What do you need 6 Strats for? A whammy bar or no? Yes, I have a whammy bar. Martin acoustic here for John. I used to have an acoustic. I got lazy. You don't feel like pushing the frets down anymore. Okay, yeah, that. I don't need to work that hard to play what I want to play. So I don't. Evan makes sure that we get back on gear by pointing out that he, in fact, has no guitar. Good stuff, Evan. Daniel says, how many years do you think TJ's extension will be for when it happens? I think it's not going to be like, she thought that was really funny. Evan, way to go, man. It's going to be in the range of whatever would constitute in the minds of both the team and the athlete that I am finishing my career in Pittsburgh. Now, considering that he is, what's TJ, 29, 30? Let me check. Let me see how old he is. You'd think I would know this off the top of my head. TJ Watt age. He's 30. Oh, he's going to turn 31 a week into October. Okay. So if you give him, and he's already signed for 1 year, if you added on 3 years, I don't think he'd go a whole lot longer. Isn't that what they did with Cam? You know, you can do it that way. You can spread it out, but you also don't want him stretching into years where he wouldn't be effective. You know, and he's going to be effective. I saw somebody with an Ibanez Destroyer here. Yeah, look at that. Mass. That's a Paul Stanley guitar, unless I'm mistaken, from Kiss. Really dynamic looking thing. Like you walk out with one of those, people don't even care if you can play it or not, because you just look so cool. Then you got to do Detroit Rock City. Jason wants to know who I would like to see at WR2. I don't have a name. I don't believe we know that name. I think there's a possibility that the Steelers don't even know that name. Now, they can have a field of guys who might come available whenever you get to training camp or near the end of training camp and people start, making cuts and so forth. But the team to keep looking for or toward is Green Bay. The Packers have a lot of receivers, and then they added a whole bunch more. Chris's electronics are a Telecaster and a Kramer Striker. He also has a Breedlove acoustic. Swear by the Breedloves. Yeah, no thanks to the acoustics for me. Captain Crunch wants to know what would be a successful season in my eyes. There's so many different ways to define this. And since Rodgers did sign and did arrive, I went and changed my own again, because I'm not looking at this team as if, winning a playoff game is a successful season. I need this team to start getting back to contending, getting back to the point where they're actually progressing toward what they should be striving for, and that's a Super Bowl. Get to the Super Bowl, we can start talking about real goals. When you bring in a Rodgers, you're doing that for one reason and one reason alone, and that's to get to that Super Bowl. So in their eyes, way more important than mine, to say the least, the successful season will be getting to the Super Bowl. They're going to say it 1,000,000 times in Latrobe and beyond. As I see it, it would have been, and still probably is, I'd like to see some of these younger players get better. I'd like to see subliminally that we all kind of treat this a little bit as a rebuild season. Let's see what that defensive line looks like on a consistent basis with Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, and a new, more playmaker Keanu Benton. Let's see how, Joey Porter takes a step up and keeps his hands to himself and still executes solid coverage, because he is capable of that. Let's see Caleb Bleeping Johnson on the offensive side. DK Metcalf's not young, but he's going to be part of this team's future for quite some time. If you look at that contract, how does he fit in? How does he step up? That to me is, and I know that's lame, and I know it's not what you want. You want to hear a record, and I'm not gonna do that. But a successful season is one that gets the Steelers closer to where they need to be. Sticky B says, "Hey DK, is being a one helmet guy as important to players as it is to the fans?" Ooh, this is a good question. It seems like it's less and less common in the NFL. I don't know if it's less and less common. I mean, you're in a salary cap league, so yeah, you're going to have more player movement. But if you go back, don't forget, man, Franco Harris wore, what did Terry Bradshaw call it? That stupid bird on the side of his head for a year out in Seattle. I mean, Franco Harris wore another uniform. There are other players who've been in that category or who have been close to or tempted to be in that category. The one that leaps out for me in recent years, I don't think Pittsburghers fully grasp how close Troy Polamalu was to playing somewhere else. Troy did not feel he was done. And Troy felt, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it's hard to picture Troy as bitter. But that might be the right term. Troy was not happy at all to have gotten what he felt was shoved out. And it took him a while to get over that. But he also didn't want to put another uniform on. He also wasn't ready to go be something other than the Steelers after putting his whole heart into that while he was here. So it's going to be different for different players. But you know, there's some people that have just made up their mind that they're going to be Steelers. By the way, one of them happens to be TJ Watt. All right. This is why I just shrug all this stuff off. Like big time shrug it off with TJ. And I did that with Cam too. And I remember at one point, even Cam got a little irritated with me, like, hey man, I mean, you know, and I know, but can you at least make something of a show out of it? No, Cam, you're a Steeler. You're not going anywhere. Just wait. You'll get your money. And he did, and that was that. The same thing's going to happen with TJ. I'm not doing him or his agent any favors either. Michael Vitti says that Aaron Rodgers gets us at least to the AFC Championship game. I mean, that's just so – that's talk radio stuff. That's not me. Jason wants to know why the Steelers brought in a long snapper. It's just insurance. That's all. That's not anything to. I already forgot his name, but he actually didn't even have much game experience, so he's not Christian Kuntz. You need a second guy. You can't go into the camp without somebody else who's capable of doing it. Although the Steelers used to, and that's why James Harrison would practice doing long snapping. He wasn't any good at it at all. Although I would not say that if he was here. I would say that he was very good at long snapping. Abram comes in, apparently not having attended a Steelers game in his life, and says the TJ Watt should 100% be traded. They aren't a Super Bowl contender. Use him to get assets. You're not paying attention, my man. Also, you need to come to Pittsburgh and you need to go to a football game here. Because everything you just wrote there, you would erase it yourself. That's how I feel. Chris is still trying to contribute to the show from afar. His version of a successful season. We should put like a little box up there.
I can send him.
And you can play Chris. You just read his comments from the little box. The successful season is to get this roster as prepared to compete for a Super Bowl for when they get their franchise quarterback next year. Playing in playoff games can absolutely help. I will agree with that. I will not agree with Chris's apparent implication, and see, I can do this to him since he's not here, that Will Howard will not be that franchise quarterback. Look how he's dissing Will Howard, people. Look at what Chris is doing here. He is the anti-Will Howard. Randy Wagner says Rod Woodson should have always played for the Steelers. That is correct. But look what Rod did when he didn't like his options. He goes, I'm not done playing football. It's my career. It's my life. If that means that I have to switch to safety, which he ended up doing in Baltimore, great. And he ended up not just playing more years, but playing more really good years. Nothing wrong with that. Rod still gets invited to all the Steelers parties, so to speak, after the fact. Is it nicer for these guys when they come back, like a Brett Kiesel, to only have worn the one uniform and to only be associated with the Steelers? Sure. Now, our very own Ramon Foster talks about that all the time. In fact, I bring it up the intro to his show, all 11 of those with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a point of pride. It means something. Joe comes in and just says hi and love the show. Thanks, Joe. That's really nice, actually. You don't have to do that. Sticky B, a little bit of a tribute to the beard from when it was feared. Love that guy. Dwight Jefferson says that Greg Lloyd in a Panthers uniform was a heartbreaker too. Hey, you never met him. Not to be that guy, just That's not something that would break anybody's heart, him not being around. That was not a good dude. I mean, really, really good football player, and grossly underappreciated as a football player as related to Kevin Green. Lloyd was twice the player that Green was. Lloyd made a lot of Green's statistics possible. But yeah, as a guy, yeah, no. Phil asks, Woodson in Baltimore or Harrison in New England, which one was worse for you? I really didn't like seeing James in another uniform. Okay, now that might be because, that was more my coverage era. And because Woodson was younger, and certainly for his position, and Woodson could continue playing somewhere else, and you knew it. With Debo, it was like, really? I mean, that was supposed to be the Steelers guy that everybody feared, avoid Lloyd was given off the field. Oh, I see what you're saying, was given off the field. Yeah, just not it. Yeah, just somebody who went out of his way to overdo the whole bad guy thing, if that makes sense. And to no effect. Like, you're doing that stuff around reporters. Like, reporters don't care. And we've seen all kinds of jerks. Railway Rarities asks if 3,000 members fall short on opening day, the game between the Steelers and the Jets, does this come to an end? I should just say yes. We're doing that? No? We can't pretend. We're the ones that actually enjoy doing this. But if somebody asks you, say yes.
It's in live for us.
Live for us, yes. Yeah, we need to get these membership numbers up. Let's see here. Scare tactics. Yeah, that's exactly what it would be here. First game of the year is 3,000 members. That's the way this is going to go. Danny is correct on that. We're going to do that.
We could do it by then. I believe it.
We're going to do that. Carol wants us to do a members only concert to up the memberships. What if it hurts the memberships? What if I can't remember
No, because it's
how to play?
No, there's comic relief if there's no good music.
Now we tell jokes?
No, I mean, you guys will be funny while failing if you suck.
Oh.
But if you're good, like, this is a win-win situation.
People here, they do this too, and they're right. You need to have your own microphone. Like, just to be able to, you don't have to be on it all the time. You don't have to whatever, but instead of this thing where you talk from a distance, where you just have a microphone. So when you have something to say, everybody can hear it.
No, I know what this is. You're trying to trap me.
No, there's no trap.
There's a trap. There's
no trap here. Can you just say here if you need her to have a microphone? If she chimes in all the time.
Maybe you shouldn't do that.
Jay Mood says, will Bill Burr be the one laughing at the jokes? Not at hers.
Jerk.
Yeah, Danny says, like, come on. You just get a microphone here. Michael Cross says that she's yelling from the ants table. John Baker calls somebody a liar. I have no idea what that's all about. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are here that are pushing for the no, they want the cam. Dolly cam. Lloyd was not hired for his disposition, says Steele in Utah. And anybody remembers that was a t-shirt that he had. That was a real thing. Michael Vitti promises to leave the uncle's table come the morning. The way to do that, whether you're Michael or anybody else, is to go to dkps.net/join. We're going to take a couple more actual questions today if anybody has any football stuff. Not that I've done a great job of keeping this on track. And see what anybody's got. On a football sense, we'll take two more questions today. I never even did a break, did I? I didn't do like a sip break or anything. So yeah, Toddy says she should have a microphone, but not try to tell jokes. They don't want you to tell jokes.
Oh, come on.
They don't think, I mean, she's not funny. No, man, she's not funny at all.
I'm going to take my toys and go home.
Give me a couple of good questions here. Danny says, are you concerned about Broderick Jones at right tackle? We've talked about this quite a bit, and you know that, Danny. I will try to give you an update on that after the experiences of OTAs and minicamp, and say this. His head seems to be in a good place. His fellow line mates seem to feel that he's executing everything at a high level. And the thing that we're really going to need to see, to pay attention to in Latrobe, is the impact of the lesser weight. He said that he's in at 20 pounds lighter. Now, when you're in the 300 range, that's not going to be the kind of thing where you walk into the room and everyone goes, "Whoa, you've lost 20." It doesn't have that much of a visual impact. But if it makes him feel more energetic, more I'm capable and eager to finish this block, then it's going to have a positive. It's going to have a positive effect on what it is that he's doing out there. I am really looking forward to this. John Baker is now saying it's me. He's calling me a liar. I don't even know what he's talking about. John Cooper comes in and says, do Harmon and Black, meaning Derek Harmon and Y.A. Black, look as powerful and explosive up close as their college tapes show? OTA sled drills make Harmon look scary. No, sled drills don't make anybody look scary except Darnell Washington. Let's get that clear, okay? And that's just because he looks like he's about to eat the sled. Nothing has happened in OTAs or minicamp or in any other setting that the Steelers have had to date this year. Not one of them where you can say that Harmon or Black or anybody look like anything. There's been hardly any physical contact other than incidental. So do they look powerful? I guess I could answer that a different way. I mean, they're dudes, okay? And they look like they are significant defensive linemen. If they had just walked onto campus and nobody told you who they were, you would say to yourself, yes, these are defensive linemen. These are impact people. We'll see probably about a week into Latrobe whether or not that is actually the case. Last one comes from Randy Wagner. We can't leave Randy out. It says, compared to this same time last year, how much better is the quarterback room? It's a neat question. In 2025, I guess the easiest, probably laziest way to answer that would be to say, all right, well, let's look back at last year and realize that there were two players who were coming off being starters the previous year in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So you could say that because Mason Rudolph was only a starter for part of the year in Nashville and a starter for the Steelers at the end of the year, the previous year. You could do that. I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to choose it because I've got Will Howard in the fold, and I'm going to keep being stubborn about this idea that you need to have volume. You need to have quantity in addition to quality in that room as far as future potential goes. If Rodgers fulfills his commendable pledge to work with Howard and to help make him better, and and I know Mason's that guy. Mason's going to do that anyway. Howard is in a much better place than he would have been in 2024. Russ, super nice guy, gives off a good vibe and all that other stuff and everything. He does that. He's not necessarily that, okay? And Fields is so different as a quarterback that I'm not sure if he would have been able to parlay the same type of information, if that makes sense. So good question, Randy. All right, guys, when we come back, we will be, I'm getting it. She's running to the thing here. I got it. I remember you weren't here a couple of days. I actually had to work this thing. We will be taking care of some business here on the Double Shot Show.
Look at you.
What? Look at me. What?
No, you did it.
No, it's not happening.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Taking care of some business here at the end of the day, here at 224 Fifth Avenue, which is, by the way, where our headquarters /shop/studio all happen to be in one magical space. And everything happens at the same time. And we don't worry about ambient noise or buses going by or people shopping. We just do our thing. Kind of like in a Good Morning America way, if you've ever seen that. Or they do it like at ground level in New York, and you get to see everything that's happening outside. Why not? Why not? Steele in Utah finally did it. Moved away from the uncle's table. Became a member of his own volition. You can do that too. Even if you don't know what volition means. I don't know what volition means. You just use it of your own volition. You say it like we know what it means. DKPS.net/join is the place to go for that. James Fairfield dropped a $3 sticker here. Chris Dolnack did the same with a couple bucks, as he loved the variety of today's show. Oh, there was variety, all right. It just went all over creation. Appreciate that. Rob came in as a new member. Nice to have you, Rob. We'll thank John again for the $20 contribution. Our friend Hodge has been around with us now for 26 months. That's pretty cool. I did not realize that on the same date he dropped $20 that John also became a member of our channel. It would not be a double shot of Steelers show without Carrie dropping one on us. Greg came in with 10 early on, suggesting that Chris and I do a jingle. We should do the jingle to the tune of the ad. Like actually come up with words for it. Chris came in demanding a raise and at the same time dropping $5, which means that his raise will be $5.
He needs to sing for keeps.
He needs to sing, she says too. Wow, she did not know about the singing.
This is awesome.
Charlie came in a little late, therefore he paid a late fee of $2. And Michael says he's going to be coming in here to 224 Fifth Avenue, downtown Pittsburgh, after he dropped a couple of bucks as well. Shane came in as a new member. We appreciate all you guys. One thing about this ridiculous program, don't take too seriously whenever we stray or we get silly or whatever. This isn't an easy time of year to be talking football. There's nothing happening. Nothing. But it's still fun to get together, and even more fun if we maybe get to know each other a little bit better. So you guys share stuff about you. We'll share stuff about us, and we'll make it till, let me check the date on that again. Is it July 23 or 22? 23, I believe, is July 23 is reporting date. Here it is. I have it right here. Training camp schedule. Wednesday, July 23 in Latrobe is players' reporting date. The first date that they're out on the field for practices, and this is open to the public, is July 24. That's at 1:55 p.m. on Chuck Knoll Field, right there, dead center on the St. Vincent College campus. And we will have all kinds of stuff to talk about, and we'll be doing it with Carol, who just came in at the last second and gifted 10 memberships. Really appreciate all you guys, and we will be back with another one of these programs, for better or worse, tomorrow.